Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I am Dr. Wasim Sheikh. In today's video, we will talk about the remaining two strategies of strengthening the material. These strategies are precipitation hardening and work hardening. In an earlier video, we saw the first two methods of strengthening the material. They were reducing the grain size and solid solution strengthening. So let us begin. So precipitation hardening is, what basically we are doing is we are trying to precipitate out small precipitates which are very strong in a normal material. So for example, we can see that a normal metal or normal material is there. With the help of heat treatment, we will precipitate out a small precipitates which are much more harder than the base matrix. So for example, like silicon carbide. So a silicon carbide is a ceramic material which is much harder than any normal material. For example, we can say aluminum or iron. So in an iron or aluminum matrix, we can precipitate out a silicon carbide because we can precipitate out silicon carbide with the help of heat treatment, and we can increase the strength of the material. So what will happen is, we know that the dislocations are moving, and because of the movement of these dislocation, when we are applying stress, basically the material is deforming. If such precipitates or such small particles which are very hard, they become an hindrance to the movement of these dislocation, the dislocation will not move and there will not be any deformation. So more number of these precipitates, more strength the material will be needing. The material will need more strength or more stress will be needed to overcome these small precipitates, and to move further the dislocation will need more stress, and the material will in turn appear as if it is much more stronger. So hardening and strengthening of the metal alloy by very small and uniformly dispersed particle of a second phase that precipitates from a solid solution. Sometimes it is also called as edge hardening. So edge hardening is a type of heat treatment process. You are keeping the material for heat treating for a very longer time. You are aging the material. During this process, what will happen is small precipitates will start to form in a material, and not all the material. You are basically trying to get out a second phase from the material, and then these material, based on the type of base matrix you are having, you can have a very harder material, you can precipitate out these harder material, and then you can make the material stronger. So this occurs by the phase transformation that is happening because of the heat treatment. Hard precipitates are difficult to shear. When the dislocations are moving, they cannot shear these particles, so the dislocation will be pinned at one particular location, and when the dislocations are pinned, they cannot move further. The material appears to be much more stronger. So example, as I said, ceramic. In metals like silicon carbide is a type of ceramic. It can be there in iron or aluminum. We can have the material much more stronger by precipitating out silicon carbide in such type of metals. So here is an example. We can see a side view and a top view of these precipitates which are in contact with the dislocation. So on the side view, we can see on the top that a dislocation is moving along a slip plane and it encounters a precipitate. So now these precipitates are there. To shear these precipitate and to move further, lot of shear stress is needed. Large shear stress is needed to move this dislocation to the precipitate and then to shear it. So when you are applying that much of force, it appears as if the material has become much more stronger. And in the top view, we can see that these precipitates are there, and the dislocation has been pinned down by these precipitates, and the dislocation has become semicircular, but now the precipitates are not giving in. They are there, they have not been broken, they have not been sheared, and then they are trying to pin these dislocation, and the material appears to be much more stronger. One example we can see, or one application we can see where these precipitation hardening method is applied is Boeing 767. So the wing structure of Boeing 767 is mainly precipitated, hardened, and then we can see that there is an aluminum alloy, and then in that there is the light matrix phase in an aluminum solid solution, and then small plate like precipitates which are darker in color are precipitated out, and then these are some magnesium and zinc precipitates which are there, and then whenever the dislocation encounters these precipitates, the material appears to be much more stronger, and then you can have a stronger material. Alright, so let us move on to the next one. This is the fourth strategy for strengthening the material, and this is nothing but cold working. It is also referred to as strain hardening, work hardening. So we are working on upon the material, and as we are working on the material, the material becomes much more harder. More load is needed to deform the material further, making the material much more stronger. So strain hardening, work hardening is when ductile metal becomes harder and stronger as it is plastically deformed. So you are deforming a ductile material more and more, and as you are deforming, more load is needed for the material to deform further. So the price of this increase in hardness is decrease in ductility. So you are sacrificing on the ductility of the material. The material is becoming harder, but on the other hand you are sacrificing the ductility of the material. So a lot of different examples are there, that these are the forming process or machining process by which we can see that we can impart the strain hardening to the material. We can cold work the material. As we are cold working on the material becomes much more stronger. So AO is the original area, AD is the deformed area. So AO minus AD upon AO into 100 will give us the percent cold working. So as this cold working increases, the material changes the shape and size. The material and the cold working is increasing, the percent cold work is increasing, the material becomes more and more stronger. So forging, drawing, rolling, extrusion, all these are the forming process by which we can change the shape of the material from an original to the deformed. More we are deforming the material, more cold working materials become much more harder and stronger. So let us see an example. What is the tensile strength and ductility after cold working? So here we have an original diameter which is around 15.2 millimeter. After cold working, the diameter has changed to 12.2 millimeter. This is a copper which has been cold worked. Then we find out the percentage of cold work. It is around 35.6 percentage. So the material has been worked upon, and the cold working is 35.6. Now let us see how this has affected the tensile strength of the material and the yield strength of the material. So let us start with the yield strength. So now as we see, as the cold working is increasing from 20, 40, 60, so now we have taken an example of 35% of cold working of copper, and we are seeing that the strength of the material is around 300 MPa, and more cold working, more is the strength of the material. So yield strength means the material will yield after 300 megapascals, and it is very much higher. Similarly, we can see the tensile strength of the material. As we are increasing the cold working, the tensile strength of the material is also increasing. But on the other hand, we can see that the ductility of the material is reducing. We are sacrificing on the ductility. The ductility is reducing, the strength of material is increasing. So these two are opposite properties. Now all these three in one frame, we can see the yield strength is increasing, tensile strength is increasing of the copper, but on the other hand the ductility is decreasing. Now we can see that the dislocation during cold work will cause an increasing in the dislocation density. So more we are working on the material, the dislocation is increasing and the dislocation density is also increasing. So more dislocation density, more load is needed for the material to deform. This is the main reason for cold working which is happening, and the material is becoming strain hardened as the dislocation density is increasing. Dislocations get entangled in one another during cold working, and dislocation motion becomes more difficult as the average distance of the separation decreases, thus imposing stress necessary to deform the material becoming more and more, and cold working is increasing, material is becoming cold work or work hardened or strain hardened as more load is needed for the material to deform. One more thing which we can note here is that when we want to strengthen the material, all these four mechanisms which we have discussed in an earlier video and this video, all can work in tandem, all can work simultaneously, or all can work in conjunction. For example, a solid solution strengthened alloy can also be strain hardened, right? We can have an alloy of the material and we can just do a strain hardening like a copper nickel alloy. So we just saw an example of copper, but we can have an alloy of copper and nickel and we can do the work hardening of that. So we can do that in conjunction and all these strategies can be combined together. So in this video we have studied about precipitation hardening, that we precipitate out a second phase in the material, for example like a silicon carbide in aluminum or iron, and make the material more stronger because these precipitates, when dislocation encounters these precipitates, they cannot move further and they are pinned down at one location, making the material more stronger. Then we saw strain hardening, that was the fourth one. Strain hardening, work hardening, when we work upon on the material, when we plastically deform the material more and more, it becomes more and more stronger, more stress, more load is needed for us to deform the material even further. So more percentage of cold work, more is the strength of the material. So I hope you understood the third and fourth strategy of strengthening the material. Also you have understood the first and second strategy which we discussed in an earlier video. Thanks for watching. All the best.